Hello and welcome to another 3-string slide lesson. So here is another great Ry Cooder tune. This is following on from Paris, Texas that we did a couple of weeks ago. So this is from the soundtrack from the 1980s movie Crossroads, which is a great blues road movie, really good soundtrack, largely Ry Cooder himself, famously featuring a guitar duel with the Karate Kid and Steve Vai in the film. But this particular one's called Feeling Bad Blues. Now, the original's it's on a 6-string and it's in open D tuning. I'm still in G here, it's just our sort of standard 3-string tuning. So if you wanted to play along with the track, then go for a thicker set of strings, go for D, A, D tuning, and all of this will work perfectly. But here is our GDG. So G, D, G. I hope that's alright, I've still got the tremolo on there. And if you're interested in having a go at the full song, it's a 12-bar blues, but there is a chart available that you can use, so you can download that from the site. But I reckon let's just get straight on with having a go at the song. Okay, so hopefully you noticed that I was using a slide. It's definitely all about the slide, this one. And I'm also playing it fingerstyle. I'm not using a flat pick here because we want the thumb playing some sort of bass notes as well. And personally, I often use the slide on my 3rd finger when I'm playing 3-string. And it's a blues. It's a fairly standard blues cycle, but instead of often we're used to playing like 12-bar cycles, it's actually a 16-bar. So I'll show you how that works. It goes to the C chord twice in the cycle, which often doesn't happen in blues. But basically, we are starting off with a ascending slide run up to 12. So I'm starting from 9 here, and I'm just moving up like that. Now, I've talked in previous videos about how it's often quite good to rest behind the slide so that you get a bit more of a focused sound, but I think actually here it might be quite nice if you don't, because it'll just be a bit more expansive, the sound. And you're just going all the way up to fret 12. There's a video on different elements of slide technique, including vibrato, so I'm not going to cover that here, but it is pretty useful. Anything like that though, learn the notes first, put it in afterwards. Now, this is quite it's almost got a sort of sad sound to it, but it's actually like a major pentatonic sound. It's got much more of a sort of sweeter major sound than a minor. So that's the sound of a major pentatonic up the top string. So it's fret 2 to 4, fret 4 is the note that gives you the sound of like the major chord, the G major chord, and then fret 7 and then fret 9, and then there's what we call as the high G, the high octave. Okay, and so I'll just go over the tune first, and we'll look at how we can incorporate some bass afterwards. So it's open, slide from 2 to 4, and then arrive at 7. And then you go down from 7 to 5. That's up and down from 2 to 4 and back again. So that's the first little melodic phrase. That's from open 2 to 4 to 7, 7 to 5, 2 to 4, back again, back to the open. And we basically do that again, but you can re-pick fret 7 a couple of times. So it's the same sort of rhythm, which I'll go over in a minute. But this time, don't slide down to 5, just go 2 to 4, and then back to the open. So the first one is open 2 to 4, 7, 7 to 5, up and down 2 to 4 to 2, open, and do it again, up to 4 to 7, re-pick 7, leave fret 5, just play 2 to 4, back down to the open. Okay, now I don't know if you noticed that there was a tremolo sound, which is that sort of oscillating effect, which is actually really good for sort of filling the space, because it's a very sort of spacious, relatively sort of minimal sound. But you can just put a load of what you call reverb on the amp instead if you don't have a tremolo effect, and it will still sound quite good. But you can also fill the sound out a bit with your thumb. You can sort of keep the pulse going with the thumb. So for example, this is on the beat, so it's like 1, 1 and 2, 3, 4. That's on the beat as well, so I can go 1 and 2, 3, 4, and so there's the first bar. So 4 beats in a bar. We've got a really nice gentle slow shuffle. So we've got 1, and so that's a grace note slide there. So it's 1 and 2, 3, 4, and then 1 and 2. Now you have, with a swung rhythm, the faster notes are basically triplets. So in a beat you've got 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we've got just normal kind of half beat, 1 and 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3. So the combination of the thumb and the pluck and the slide gives you 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, and another triplet, 1, 2. That's a grace note, 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Triplet, triplet. Just keep the beat going all the way through that bar. pick up again, so that open string's just before the beat because we're landing right on fret 2 for the slide up on the beat. So bar 2, 1, 2, so 1 and 2 and 3. So the third pluck is back with the thumb. 1, 2 and 3, 4, triplet, 1. Do that second phrase again. 1 and 2 and together 1 triplet 1. So it's thumb triplet 1 2 3, and then just before we change chord, we can get a really nice sort of suspended sound. It almost sounds like an F chord, that, but you're still over the G. So it's fret 10, just on the top 2. Now, just to make it nice and subtle, I'm doing a little bit of palm muting on that bass, or you can choose to leave it open. It's entirely up to you. I mean, actually, I was probably doing less palm muting when I had the tremolo effect on. Yeah, so whatever you think sounds good. Also, when you're on the top string, without trying not to catch the actual size of the frets themselves, you can sort of angle a little bit like that. And when you're playing two notes together, make sure you don't angle because you need to catch both strings. So that's actually 4 bars there. It's like sort of two G riffs. So it's the first chord in the blues, and because we're in this G tuning, that's our first chord, G. Then we go into fret 5, which is a C. And I'm going to cover all of the strings. So I'm going to sort of focus it by resting behind the slide. So I'm going to slide in from fret 2. I'm going to pluck both of these, and I'm going to go like this: 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, triplet. Okay, so together, thumb and say index finger on the D string in the middle, together, middle finger on its own, thumb, maybe back to the middle string on its own, thumb, thumb. So that's 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, and after the second thumb, triplet. Just pluck that top string twice, 1, 2, triplet, and then a nice little soulful. So that's a question of angling the slide in and just catching the middle string and not fretting the top string, otherwise you get that. So okay. You can even hammer it on with your first finger if you want. You can do that if you want, but I'm using a slide. So that's on beat 4. So after the second bar of C, 3, 4, back to G. Very sparse here. Quite a funny, almost out of time like riff there. It's 4 notes in that riff. Quick slide into 4 on the bass, open, middle string, fret 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, that's major pentatonic again. And then we go back into the C again. There's the triplet again. Same little solely grace note hammer on beat 4. And I can do a different little run from fret 2 here on the middle string. So I'm just going to pluck that on its own and then straight over to fret 4 on the bass string. So after the D, the C, sorry, here we go, back to 1, G, 3, riff. So that's 2, slide down from 4 to 2. And let's try all of that middle section. So we're going up into the C. So I'm going to start from 2 and slide up, so a couple of fingers together. 2. Triplet. 1, 2. 4-note riff. That's a little bit faster. Back to C, because it goes back to C twice, like I was saying, which gives us the different blues cycle. Triplets a couple of times here on the C. Solely grace note. Different riff this time. Open, back to G. Okay, so that bit, really nice sound that. So we're going back to a higher melody. So after I've done the 1, 2, up to 4 on the top string. So that's with the thumb. And then I'm going to go 2, open. So it's thumb, triplet. So the thumb and the 2 notes combined gives you that of the triplet rhythm, the same as what was happening earlier on. So we've got 1, 2 into 4, sliding from 2, so I'm plucking 2, going into 4, 2, 3, 4, triplet, back into 2, but this time we're changing chord, it's going to the D. Normally we play a D up here, but we can also use the middle string. So we can go 1, 2, so that's together, 1, 2, triplet. So there's a lot of that repeating rhythm, play the bass, then a couple of melody notes. So 1, 2, triplet, 2 open, another triplet, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, triplet, triplet. So plucking 4 together with the bass on the middle string. Okay, so I reckon what I'm going to do is just go all the way through the slide part and just show you what that sounds like. So we've got 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 2, up to 10, 3, 4, into C, triplet, little soli, back to the bass, 2, 3, 4-note riff, 2, 3, 4, and back into the C. I'm going to do 2 triplet rhythms here. Little soli grace note on beat 4. Different rhythm here. 2, bass, 2, 3, 4, triplet, change to D. goes into chord at that point. So a little bit difficult this. I would definitely practice all of that. Rewind and rewatch this video a few times, because I've kind of brushed over stuff a little bit here. I'm kind of assuming that you can play a bit with your fingers, your thumb and your fingers, and like I said, if there's anything where it just feels like a bit of a coordination nightmare, you might need to go back and revisit that earlier video I put a link to. But after that we then go to an E minor. Now, one of the reasons why I use a slide on my third finger is so that I can manage to fret certain chord shapes. So after that bar of D, I'm going to step up from D fret 1 up to fret 2. But as I hit the fret 2, I'm going to go for an E minor, if you can see that, which is fret 2 and fret 4 on the bass note, and then it's a question of trying not to block that off. You want to make sure that you can hear the open high G. So as I land on, so that's like 4 and 1, that's and that another bar. And at that point I'm going to hit both of those together, so I need to be on that chord. So, and then after that, so that's together, play the open string and pluck the open string with the bass again. 4 and together, open high G, pluck it with the bass, and then drop this one down, and then go to a C. C's can be a bit tricky, so I'm going from fret 4 to fret 5. That's from the E minor to the C. That's staying where it is. That little finger, pinky finger, is going from fret 4 to fret 5, E minor to C. Here's the bar of D, 4 and fretted E minor together, open string together, drop this one down, and then go to C, and then a little, if you can, off the C chord. So I'm plucking all of them, and then I'm going to do a little grace note hammer on. If that's difficult, you can just pluck those two again. You can do all three and then pluck the top two, and then I've gone back to the G early, and then there's the thumb, just to definitely make sure the bass sounds like it's gone back to G. There's the whole. I'm going to do a grace note though, whole C, open. Let's try those chords from another angle. So we're going 1, 2, fretted, fret 1, there's your E minor, drop down to this melody note, back to a C. If you can, grace note, back to the G, back to the open strings. And then, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, So it briefly goes back to a C, but we can go up, instead of playing a C there, we can go up with the slide to fret 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So pluck them all together. So that's 3, 4, and 1. Just a little melodic thing going into the D turnaround. So typically on a blues, you're going to finish on a D. That's your turnaround before you do another cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So after 1, 2, 3, 4, another grace note, and 1, and 2, and 2, triplet into the D. So something like pluck those two together, and then pluck the top string when you arrive on the D. And I just finished sliding back up to fret 12, back up to the high G across all the strings. So let's just try that last section. So I'm going to go from coming out of the C, 1, 2, 3 bass, 2, D, 2 triplet, fretted, E minor, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, now it's quite a long piece, this. It's fairly sort of atmospheric. There's a sort of key moment in the actual movie itself. So he goes round the cycle, the 16-bar cycle. I think he might go around it 4 times. And you know, I took some slight sort of liberties. I didn't play it exactly the same. Obviously, it's quite difficult when you've got 3 strings missing. But I didn't play exactly the same as how he did. But some of the little riffs were rhythmically more similar to what he does on the second cycle, but just sort of picked out some of the interesting ones. But essentially, it's a variation on a theme. You know, it's got that same, you know, really nice, like major pentatonic-y melodic sound. And if you sort of loosely follow what I've looked at, you know, without completely following it exactly note for note, then if you try to play that, just repeat that sort of 2 or 3 times, you would naturally vary it, which should have a really nice, you know, loose, slightly sort of improvised feel, because it wouldn't be exactly the same each time through. All right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed playing that. Great tune. I really like playing it on the slide. It's very sort of atmospheric, and you can really kind of get into the feel of it. But we're going to be doing another blues slide lesson straight after this one. So we're going to be looking at some early, like, Muddy Waters country blues. So watch this space, and we'll see you here again very soon on Coda Guitar.